Well, thanks, guys. We're gonna get into something totally different now. I got my guy,
Yeah,
Chris Mathews, more known as Lethal Shooter. Chris, how are you?
doing good, man. It's hot outside, but
Yeah, you're
I'm
the
doing
most
good.
branded man I've ever seen. You
Yeah.
got 23s, you got Jordans, you got that Red Bull bracelet. We're gonna talk about your business, just all in. But for those of the people that don't know you, tell me a little bit about how you got your start.
I got my start about 7 years ago. I finished playing pro. Decided to go into being a skills coach.
Mm-hmm.
It was a rough decision because everybody wants to continue to play pro. Everybody wants to try to continue to make it to the NBA. But I knew, it was the end of the crossroad. So I had a few friends that wanted me to teach them the art of shooting. A lot of them were NBA players and a lot of them were pros. So I decided to go into that venture because my entire life I've been a shooter. So when I first started, I wanted to be a skills coach. Then
Mm-hmm.
I realized my biggest contribute to a client is to teach them the art of shooting. So that's when I started just teaching art of shooting, not trying to go in a skills thing, because I feel like there's a lot of trainers that try to do too much when it comes to training. Like I feel like whatever you do best, that's what you should be teaching.
Yep.
And 7 years later, that's where I am now. A lot of players want to train with me, WNBA, NBA, EuroLeague, youth, grassroots players, and it's just a blessing to be able to help people with what I love most, and that's shooting the basketball.
I want to go back to something you said earlier, which is the end of the road,
Yeah.
right? Uh, what advice do you have to somebody that like has to think about that? Like that's a reality, right? Like, talk about that a little bit because that's something that when you think about brands, they have to think about a lot.
Yeah, just basically, let's say somebody says, I want to be the president of the United States,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't reach that goal. That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you need to quit. There's other things that you could do in your community. There's other things you can do to be successful in life. And I feel like there's a lot of people when you try to be an NBA player or a WNBA player or a rapper or certain different things, when it doesn't work, a lot of us quit. And there's different things that you can be. Everybody's not going to be a Quavo. Everybody's not going to be a Michael Jackson, but you can work for a company to help build a company up to start doing your own thing as well. And I felt like I wanted to be the one in my community to show, yeah, I didn't make it to the NBA. Yeah, I don't have the $1 million. I don't have the Rolls Royce, but look
Mm-hmm.
at me. I'm still playing basketball. I'm still contributing to the game of basketball. And people all over the world know who I am because when that crossroad hit, I decided to say, you know what, I'm going to continue to go, but in a different path that fits me.
What was it always a love for shooting? Like that was the goal. Like, was there ever like when you were a kid a career that you thought about differently? Like if it wasn't basketball, it was what?
Yeah, I would say being a school teacher. I really love helping the youth. I really love giving back to the community. When I was at a low point in my life, I was a teacher's assistant
Mm-hmm.
at Needwood Academy in Montgomery County. They allowed me to be a teacher's assistant for a year, and I absolutely loved it. And by doing that, they allowed me to be the men's coach. We made it all the way to the championship game, lost by 2 points, but I wasn't really mad at my life.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to become a teacher, I would have became a teacher because I understood my life is about basketball, about giving back to the community, and most importantly, helping the next generation. Like you see with my brand, like
Mm-hmm.
I don't just post basketball. A lot of my captions and a lot of my stories and a lot of my lives are just about letting people know that giving up is never an option.
We're gonna talk a lot about the content and the storytelling that you do, but I got to jump to this question, which is, what is the legacy? Like if 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you want people to think of Chris Matthews and Lethal Shooter. What do you want them to think about?
Just when you're having that moment in the house that you feel like you can't do something, the saying "stay locked in." A lot of people, especially in today's society, because of Instagram, because of social media, people
Mm-hmm.
want instant gratification. And through my brand, I'm trying to show people it is it's a long road. Same with you. You didn't just wake up and be Ronnie 2K. You had to
Mm-hmm.
build up to your goals. You had to be consistent with your life, and every single day you wake up towards your goals. But a lot of people just see the cool posts. They just see
Mm-hmm.
the cool stuff, but they don't know how much work and sweat you put into your craft. And that's what I like to show people. People are like, oh man, I didn't even know you played in the G League. Oh, I didn't even know you had to sell sodas before when you needed money. Oh, I didn't even know you was a school teacher and stuff like that. That's why I post certain stuff to let people know that like all of us go through hard times. But if anything was to happen to me, I just want people to know that those hard times made us who we are and continue to keep pushing.
Was there you talked about hard times. What was there a hard time that was particularly like, I don't think I can do this? Because I'll tell you
Mm-hmm.
from my experience, right? I also, I went to law school. It didn't work out for me. Then I went to work for some professional sports teams. That wasn't really like the fit, but like at a certain point, I had to have a conversation with my parents and be like, hey, I don't want to do the traditional law school thing. For me, it was a challenge with my ethnic background, right? Like the expectation that I had to be a doctor, or engineer, or whatever. So there was a point where I was like, I have to make a decision to chase this thing. You have a really young audience too, so is that kind of part of the storytelling? Like, when can you like chase that dream to a point? Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
if you have a real passion, like what are we? How long can you chase that? I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, certain people are in different situations. You know, some people have parents that you can chase a goal till you're 30 years old because your parents have the financial funds. Some people don't have the type of household that's
Yeah, so
like,
let's talk about that with
yeah,
you.
yeah. So with me, like, I grew up in a household I didn't have that type of option, but I was blessed to be able to play basketball. I got a scholarship to Washington State, then played at St. Bonaventure. After that, I went pro overseas for 7 years. But it wasn't like if that didn't work, college and overseas, that I can just go back home to live in my home because it was a tough situation, if that makes sense. Of course, my parents wouldn't let me become homeless or anything of that nature. But back then, it was just like it wasn't as easy as it came. When my dad died, that's when stuff really got hard. My dad had a heart attack. And well, my biological father just died a few years ago. My dad that raised me, he had a heart attack in front of me. That's when my life started getting kind of rough because my mom moved back to North Carolina and I was like homeless because I was still chasing this goal because I wasn't about to move to North Carolina. You know what I mean? I was going to make this goal work. I was going to stay in D.C. So it was times I slept in my Magnum. My best friend, Jonathan, his mom let me sleep on their couch for a whole summer, which was a blessing because that summer really helped me with my growth, helped me to continue to understand what I wanted to do in my life. And I think that's what helped me lock in more, just those hard times. I feel like if I didn't have those hard times, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now.
You have always been one of the most positive people in our industry, which is tough, right? Like because when you're putting out social media content and trying to story tell, there is that negativity. So how do you kind of deal with that?
Well, I'm from DC. People don't understand my real background. Like, long as somebody isn't putting their hands on me, I can care what somebody's saying on social media. It's a false world. So,
Yep.
like, normally when people talk about other people on social media, it's because of their own insecurities.
Yep.
Social media it's a free place. It's free of speech. So, if somebody is negative on my page, I never respond to them. I probably blocked about 20,000 people in the last 7 years. That's how easy social media is. If you feel like somebody isn't saying something that you feel like
Shut
is
them up.
positive, you can just delete them. I'm not about to respond to you. I'm not about to go and send you a message or send you a video. Like, I just feel like that type of stuff is negative energy. My whole life is just based on positive energy. Like if I feel like something isn't uplifting me, I don't even pay it attention.
So how did this second career come about? And what I mean by that is like, obviously you were a shooter and you loved training people on how to shoot, and you became one of the best to do it. But then all of a sudden you also had to brand build, and you had to tell that story of, trying to get players on board, trying to get those brands on board. So like, when did that it become apparent to you that you also had to brand build?
Well, I've always been creative with content, but I just never showed attention because I played basketball. Even when I was playing pro, I used to shoot content, funny content when I was bored. But when social media came around, Instagram, I really started like, you know what? Let me see how it looks during COVID, if that makes sense. So I've
Yeah.
always been putting little stuff out there, but during COVID, I really got aggressive with it. Like I'm going to show the world how creative I am. I made the world's smallest rim. I made spike rims. I did
I
all these
remember.
different things. I was doing different type of content to show if needed, I can be a comedian or something. So I was just showing people that in life, whatever you want to do, you can do it. Like you said, your parents, everybody, your family wants you to be a lawyer, they want you to be a doctor, but you did what you wanted. But there's other things to Ryan 2K that people don't know. You might
Yeah.
love to cook. I don't know. But like me, I love to make content. I love to make people laugh. I love to do so much more than play basketball. And I feel like as an athlete, you can show those type of things and people still take you serious. Because at first I used to be afraid, like, oh man, NBA teams aren't going to take me serious,
What?
because I'm doing content on the world's smallest rim,
Right.
or I'm doing a funny skit with a bodybuilder or something like that. And then I started to realize I don't really care. As long as my clients get the results they need, like you see Grant Williams and Bobby Portis and Grayson Allen, Katavius Caldwell-Pope, everybody that I train, their shooting percentages go up. As long as their shooting percentages go up, I should be able to do any type of content I want because all of my content is positive, as you know.
Where would you say you land on the brand strategy versus content kind of ratio of how your brain works. Because like I think you are an interesting challenge in that you have this functional job where you have to train these players, but on top of that, you also have to think about how you're going to acquire new players to do that. And one of the big ways is to become viral and do some of the the unique things that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do. So how much time do you think you spend on like uh, developing creative brand strategy versus actually like doing the creative stuff?
Well, I spend 99% of my time figuring out how to help somebody with the art of shooting. I
Hmm.
feel like that 1% when my family goes to sleep, they go to sleep at like 7 o'clock.
Hmm.
My fiance goes to sleep like around 9:30, so
Yeah.
that's when I really can like get in front of my whiteboard and say, okay, on this date, I'm gonna do this for him, or I'm gonna collab with this person, I'll go with that person. But when I wake up in the morning around 6:30, my entire life is training. You know what I mean? My whole goal is to,
But I find that interesting because it
yeah,
is for
yeah,
sure. I mean, you do that amazing stuff, but like this morning, right? You
yeah,
reached out to me, but you were like, "How do I live off that momentum?" So you asked me
yeah,
for a mocap thing that we did a
yeah,
long time ago
yeah,
to be topically relevant,
yeah.
right? So that was a very brand strategic thing you did.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not always about rushing to post certain type of content or being in a rush to do certain
But
things.
why today, right? Like it's topical, and
Yeah,
you were
it's
trying
it's
to
it's it's the topic, if that makes
100%.
sense, and that's
I'm
what.
just saying. I'm just saying that's really wise of
Yeah,
you, right?
yeah.
Like you actually thought about,
You have
hey,
to be very
what's the
strategic.
day that I'm going to get the most pop out of
Right,
this thing?
right.
So I think you actually spend a lot more than 1% of your time on brand strategy. I think actually you're one of the wiser guys that I talk to because you're always reaching out to me, being like, "Hey, what do you think about this? How can we
Hmm.
work on this? How can we incorporate it into the digital world?" Which we'll talk about in a little bit. But
Hmm.
that's why I'm like brand strategy. I feel like is actually a big portion of yours because you're also always thinking about the brands you work with. You're always reaching out to me
Hmm.
at 2K.
Hmm.
I'm sure you're always keeping that dialogue with Jordan and
Hmm.
those brands. So can you
Hmm.
talk about that a little bit? The
Yeah,
importance to build those relationships.
yeah, I do. So like, of course, I think about it all day, but I can't consume my mind to it. So like, let's say you're Anthony Davis, I
Hmm.
can't be training you, and then right now I'm thinking about making a paper ball in the straw. Of course, when I'm done training, my mind just is all over the place. Even driving here, when I was driving here, like so many ideas went in my head. So I
Hmm.
just pull over and take some notes and stuff like that and keep driving. So it's like all day
I'm glad you pull over.
yeah, 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 yeah. So all day my mind is really racing,
Yeah.
but when it's time for me to be locked in as a trainer, that's the only thing I'm thinking about. But of course, I might can spend a night, 9:30 to like 4 o'clock in the morning, just writing down goals on my whiteboard. I sit up and watch YouTube and sit up and watch different type of TV shows like the Arsenio Hall show and watch Jimmy, late night shows to
Hmm.
see creative ideas. I watch like old comedy skits with Eddie Murphy and SNL and different things just to see what used to stimulate other people to make them funny.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do with basketball. I want to put out content that's like a one of one, and that's why those shows were so good and that content was so good because it was the first to be that type of way. I just started some more new series that I've been watching so I can come up with some more creative ideas than I have for basketball. And that's what my life's devoted to. I don't want to be the person that if Ronnie was to see my post, he'll say, "Oh, I've seen that before. Like somebody did that." No, when you see my post, oh shoot, like if Lethal do something like this is about to be a one of
Yeah.
one. Yeah, it's just like in a few weeks, I'm going to do another
Oh,
post as
what is
well.
that?
I can't tell you.
Oh,
I
come
can't
on,
tell you,
Lethal.
but it's literally the first ever, and it's something that I've been working on for a year and a half. And
What do you look back at and was like, wow, I'm really glad I did that in terms of the content.
well, the one thing I realized too, I don't really be like in my brain piling up on what I've done, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. Like I might be sitting and bored, and like, dang, I really made a paper ball.
Okay, so maybe I'll rephrase the question. Who talks to you? What do you hear most about with your content? Like they're like, oh, the spike rim was
The
dope, or
rims, the
oh, it
rims.
was the
But
rims.
but me personally, like I want to be known as the trainer.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, people love my shooting. You saw when I broke the world record, 23 out of 25 in 65
Yeah,
seconds.
yeah.
People love that type of stuff. So I am devoted to shooting, but I do want to be known as the trainer. But I realize people
But
love the
how can you
rims.
become known as the trainer without doing the brand awareness work? Like the way that you're going to acquire more. I just think you live in a really interesting medium
Yeah,
because you, let's say you're training Anthony
yeah,
Davis, right?
yeah,
Your obligation, I get it. You
yeah,
are a solid guy where you want to like maximize that time with him and make
yeah,
him the best shooter you can.
yeah,
But at the same time, in your head, you're also thinking, how do I not leverage Anthony Davis, but how do I think about the content that we're going to get and put it out to the world so that I can continue to build this brand, whether it's endorsements or other clients or what have you. So that's where what I'm trying to
Well, the
like pull
good
out of
thing
you.
too about training clients, the stuff that I post isn't my real training. So like, I would say posting content with them is like it's fake content. So like, let's say I trained you all summer.
Yeah.
Like a good example is use Anthony Davis. I
Yeah.
trained him all summer. I only posted him twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's somebody. If I wanted it to take advantage of the views and stuff, I could have posted him once a week, and
Yeah.
I would be at 3 million
Yeah, because
followers.
people are very curious
They're very
about that storyline, of course. Yeah.
exactly. So what I do to protect people, it's like it's not always about lethal shooter. You know what I mean? It's about the person. You know what I mean? And there's like a good situation is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope when he played on the Lakers. You know, everybody was talking bad about him. Everybody said, "I'm still going to post my guy. That's my friend."
Yeah.
And then look up, he wins a ring. He shoots 40% from three that same season. So the good thing about me is like you're saying, I'm very strategic on how I post, but I never give up on my clients as well, and I never use them as a way to like piggyback off what's going on with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like let's use AD for a good example. Is when everybody wanted to talk bad about him, that's not gonna be okay. I'm just gonna post right now because I know it's gonna be viral. No, it's like I'll talk to my client. Hey, do you want this? Oh yeah, bro, post that. I'm not tripping or something like that. So it's not really I'm training Ronnie, and the whole time I'm thinking like, oh, let me let Ronnie get 10 dunks so I can post that. You know? So
I do that all the time. Everybody's aware of that. Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's amazing. The reason I'm asking you these questions, Chris, is like I'm trying to actually showcase the
Yeah.
fact that you are two things.
Yeah.
One, you're a really good guy that is focused on getting the most out of your clients to build them as a shooter.
Yeah.
But then also that you're creative enough that you could spin off and do the secondary thing, and you know do the things around rims and whatever
host.
to continue to grow the brand. So
Yeah.
talk about like how this turned into like brand partners when you started to feel the momentum towards like, oh, you know, I have an audience here and brand partners are now starting to reach out. I know you have an epic shoe and
Yeah.
that got so much momentum. So when did it start turning into like a brand partnership conversation?
I would say about 5 years ago, but I'm very strategic on who I partner with. So, you know, I'm not by far rich at all, but like there's a lot of brands that have reached out.
We did our partnership 3.5 years ago, I
Yeah,
believe. Yeah,
yep,
right.
yep.
So we were among your first ones, or
Well,
how
you're
did that work?
you're the first one I actually took.
Oh.
Yeah. So like, there's other people that reached out to do stuff, but I'm very strategic. You know, I'm not just jumping to every brand because they have money or because of who they are. If it doesn't fit what I do, I can say no. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not one of those people where it's like, you know, if 10 companies hit me up, take all 10 so I can get the bread.
So why us?
Because I mean, you guys are the best. You know, you guys you guys always elevate. You don't do the same thing every single year. And when I did my research on you guys, I just realized that the creativity that you guys bring to the company, that's what I want to be a part of. Because your competitor, they were doing the same thing. They were getting all the influencers. They were telling all the influencers they could be in the game. They were doing certain stuff of that nature. And you know, I was one of those ones that if you saw it, like I didn't take it. You know what I mean? I watched it, but I didn't like that because, you know, just like in the shoe companies that were doing the same thing a few years ago. If a shoe company takes up all of the trainers or takes up all of the certain type of category, that means they're rushing. You know, I don't want to be a part of rush jobs. I want to be a part of people that have been watching me and strategically do stuff. And I think that's what NBA 2K and that's what the relationship that me and you have. You see, like I'll hit you up. Like, you know, I mean, you are, hey, bro, let's do this at blah, blah, blah's house. Let's shoot. I'm not just doing stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I think that's what a partnership is, right?
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of brands like are thinking about this particular campaign
Yeah.
or like how it's going to benefit them.
Yeah.
And it's been very important that like we all eat, like
Yeah.
we all grow together. Like how can we get you more to get better
Yep.
brand partnerships?
Yep.
You know, like and so I think that the leverage of being in the digital space and like seeing yourself in the in-game avatar is like obviously a very cool endorsement. It's one that like can elevate other endorsement opportunities. But I just think that that was really savvy of you. But it's not been a one-off thing. Like we've done 700 things together, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the brands that are doing influencer marketing really well are thinking that way. So.
Yep.
What were some of the your favorite things that we've done here at 2K over the past couple of years? I know one of them.
The one we just did
Yeah,
was that was probably one of the best moments of my
yeah.
life. You know what I mean? I love teaching. I love that you allow me to express myself the way I wanted to be expressed.
Chris, of course, is talking about Up Your Game.
Yeah.
We shot that last
Yep.
year, and what I thought that was cool about that was like it kind of went to two audiences and two very different audiences. One was the expert at 2K that like could get a little bit better with some fine tuning, and then the mass who had never picked up the sticks and
Yeah.
could be like, okay, I get like I watch basketball, I get the art of shooting, but I don't know how to do it in this video game. And then connecting those two, that's always something that we're trying to do. We're trying to funnel our digital world, our video game, into this vertical of where the NBA is going, and that happens with fashion, kicks, celebrity, etc. But I thought that was a really good exercise because it was like, let's see this basketball trainer who trains some of the best top athletes in the world, and see if this guy can also train a 2K player.
Absolutely.
That
And
was
that's
cool,
and that's the
right?
type of stuff like I was saying I love being a part of because I'm like you, like I love showing that I'm a trainer, but like you said, I can do a million things. You know, I hosted Netflix red carpets before. I've hosted stuff for Uninterrupted. I've done different things of that nature, and you know, I do these type of things to show people just like you. You're not just Ronnie 2K. You can do all type of things in life, and that's what I want to continue to show. And you guys have helped me with that. And I'll say the second biggest moments with you guys was the mocap. You know what I mean? That's something that I've dreamed of since I've been playing video games, is to be a part of a video game. So when you guys allowed me to do that, that was probably like one of the, like probably like the fifth biggest moment of my life. You know what I mean? Because this is something that, you know, don't anybody can just walk in there. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You guys are very particular about stuff like that.
Well,
So
I
that's
know
a
I love
blessing.
that we're changing lives in that way.
Yeah.
I know we do it for our fans. That it did it for me even when I used to play the game and not work here. So I get the feeling that you have. So that's very cool. Going back to you and then this is probably one of my last lanes with you, which is you look back. We go forward 10 years. What would be like a success? Like where are you trying to get to? Is it more players? Is it working with the superstars? Like, what does 10 years of success look to Lethal Shooter?
Yeah, in 10 years, for me, I hope I'm not working. You know, the main goal in life is to find something you love and be diligent in it for like, you know, 15 years, and then you have people working for you. You know what I mean? So my main goal is to, if I wanted, I could have it
Have
right
many
now.
lethal shooters,
Well, you know, people working
lethaler
a
shooters.
facility. I can have a facility right now, but I choose not to because you have to be in there every single day in the facility. And right now, I can't do that. You know, I'm about to go to Egypt. I'm about to go to Russia. I'm going to Dubai to shoot some content. So it's different stuff in the next year I can't do. But in the next few years, I
I'm
want.
so glad you brought this up. That's
Yeah,
such a great answer because like scaling a business
yeah,
is tough,
yeah,
and especially when it's built completely on the brand of one person,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a really like very station thing. Like
Yeah.
that's really cool. How do you create more lethal shooters and still feel close and connected to the brand? How does that happen?
Well, it's easy. So, like, let's say, you know, Ronnie wants to learn how to teach the art of shooting.
Hmm.
Ronnie comes to my course for about 5 months. I teach Ronnie all of my philosophy. Ronnie has his clients. You know what I'm saying? Ronnie does his thing. When needed, Lethal Shooter comes in to help the client to give the person more confidence that what Ronnie's teaching him is working, if that makes sense. And this type of stuff is done, you know, just like, you know, with the iPhone. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like everything could be done the right way if it's strategically taught, so people can understand it and be educated on what they're saying to the person and know what to watch. So I have everything mapped out on how I want to do it. And, you know, in the next 10 years, possibly have 2, 3 facilities in America, and maybe have one like in China, you know, because
Wow.
that's actually one of the biggest markets in the world. So you go there, you teach people your philosophies, and then, you know, you just stop in and do what you need to do to make sure the car still stays tuned up.
Yeah, there's a lot of subcultures with our game, right? Music, fashion, obviously sneaker culture. Yo, by the way, you know I'm a sneaker god, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't I get one of your pairs of shoes?
You weren't on the list, man. It's like, nah,
Oh
I got you, man. I
wow!
got you. I got you.
Wait, what?
I got you, man.
Oh my God, he comes with gifts. Let's look at this.
Let me know what you think.
I saw him on the gram,
Yeah.
so I gotta see this. What is this?
Stay locked in notepad. Late at night.
Oh, I like that.
Late at
Oh,
night.
look
If you
at
got
that.
some,
That gold lock.
if
I
you
love
got some
that.
thoughts, man, write it down.
No, I always do.
Yeah.
Mine like, ooh. Bro, I've been looking for like a gold kind of silhouette shoe. So,
Yeah.
dude, these are super clean.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So the bottom right
Yeah,
here.
talk to me about the.
The bottom is roses.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I was inspired because where I come from in DC, the inside is concrete. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Making it out of DC is not easy,
Yep.
if that makes sense.
That's
so it's
awesome.
like I'm the rose that came out of the concrete, so you can feel this type of material.
How involved were you with like?
100%.
That's
you know?
amazing.
Yeah, 100%. That's the one thing I love about Jordan Brand. That's the thing I love about Nike as well. When you tell them my idea, they understand that it's your vision. You know what I mean? And they allow me to put the gold on there. That's pretty sick to me. And I just wanted to have a shoe that I feel like not only somebody can wear in a basketball court, but if somebody would need it, they could wear it out to go somewhere. So
Bro, this is amazing.
Yeah.
The rose silhouettes. I didn't know the backstory of that. That's really cool.
yeah. So glad
Hey.
you like them, man.
What are they, one of
1 of 45.
45?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, another grail to my closet. That's what I like to see. You know, I got like 600. Well, I used to have 600
Yeah.
something shoes.
I actually gave away like 300 pair of shoes 2 months ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I had to do my garage over. And
Yeah.
I put a whole bunch of
I did a
closets.
similar thing.
Yeah.
I sold them and then like all the proceeds went to Make a Wish,
Look
who
at
I
you,
work
man.
with.
Always
It was
thinking
really-
about other people, man. But that's
No.
what life's about.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, what is a platform unless you're going to make it for good, right? Like,
Yeah.
why are we
Yeah.
content creators otherwise?
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about others.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. All right, well, always great conversations with my guy Chris Mathews, Lethal Shooter. If you have not followed him on social media, I don't know what you're doing living under a rock, but you probably should. Always appreciate you, brother. They can look forward to seeing you some more on 2K.
Absolutely.